him?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yep. This wasn't here
No.
when you were here. I mean, when you see how the game has changed, the college game has evolved into, what you would expect at a professional level, what are your first thoughts?
Yeah, it's the old arms war, which is funny because Schemberger Hall, oh my goodness, 1990, when I took my first official visit, this place was being built. And I think it was one of 3, quote unquote, football only facilities. And after that, I guess this was kind of the benchmark. And from that point on, everything was being built to match or beat this. And then all of a sudden, what was once the first is now old and outdated. And I just remember practicing in Oosterbaan thinking like, man, this place is huge. Now you come in here, it's like, this place is incredible. It's but it's the arms race. It's to fit the people in here to get more work. And then sports science has evolved. So once sports science evolved, then everything else kind of grows with it.
Being on campus, especially when you first came back, when you're here, when you're on new events, what memories first come to mind?
Oh, really freshman year. I think freshman year for me was the absolute best. It was really just the first time I had really been, like we talked about, the 4 corners of Inkster. It's like, now I'm here, I'm on my own, meeting new people, different cultures, different, even though they may have lived the next city over from me, but still in all a different world. But it was a time for me to grow, mature, just experience new things. So my freshman year was absolutely wonderful. Hard as heck, but wonderful.
How'd you not get overwhelmed?
I can't say that I didn't get over. I mean, it was overwhelming from the first moment I signed, because everything just increases tenfold. Football, classes, and I tell people, it's not to say college. The work is, demanding. It's just the volume of it. Everything, the volume is so much more in college. It's just, I remember having 3 classes and looking at one of my professors like, I have 2 other classes, right? And she looked at me like, so what? Do the work. And I was just like, you gotta be. Okay, so I have to get up, do a workout. I have to go to class. I have to come back to football. It was immense. It was just a lot of it. And, but like I said, it was fun. It's probably my funnest year.
And you wanted to stay busy.
Yeah, you want to stay busy. And quite honestly, it was one of a phenomenon that I really didn't realize was my freshman year, I didn't run track here. So my grades was okay, but they really took a real nosedive going when football season was over. Coming back from my next year, my sophomore year, grades was okay. And then once I started running track, the grades, continued to climb. And I just needed that piece to keep me busy, to keep me on track, and just kind of keep me going. As they say, you can't give a young 18, 19-year-old too much time.
Speaking of signing and all that, the recruiting process for you, what was that?
Honestly, very easy, because I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know. I didn't know what an offer was. Like, it was funny because I'm talking to my sons about this. They was like, Dad, how many offers did you have? I said, honestly, I don't know. Because my high school coach handled a lot of it. And, the mail came through, and you just read a lot of the mail. I mean, I had mail from everywhere, but I just didn't know what the process was. I didn't even know the process of going to college, like what in detail it was going to do. And so, I would get these questionnaires, and I would fill out all the questionnaires, and I would send them back to schools, and coaches would be like, we didn't figure you would sign this and send it back. I was like, why not? I mean, it's a questionnaire. And they just looked at me like, he doesn't get it, which I didn't. I had no clue. So it's pretty simple because I didn't know.
Who came to your house and tried to convince you that their school was the right fit?
Really, I only had one home visit, and that was Moeller, Gary Moeller. I took four officials, but I think my sophomore year, I did an article with Detroit News, and I said I'm not going south, west, or east of Michigan. And so everybody else just kind of said, okay, we get the picture. And so the home visits thing kind of just fell by the wayside.
How difficult was the decision?
It wasn't difficult at all. It really played itself out magnificent. And when I say that is, when I talk to football coaches and they start talking football, you lost me. You know, it's one of those deals where you get off the phone with one coach, you pick up the phone, and it seemed like it's the same guy, it's the same recording, different voice, different school. And it just started sounding like Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. Moeller, we talked about everything, life, you know, my opinions, you know. He would call me goofy, he would be like, you're a goofball, you know, but he listened to what my opinions were, and it was just more than just football, you know. It was life, it was a bunch of everything. And he did a bunch of homework on my background, and so we started talking about some of those things, and a lot of it was a little uncomfortable, but made me feel comfortable speaking about it, and showed a lot of support in what I was doing and what I was going through. And at the end of the day, it was more of a personal relationship more so than a football marital relationship. You know, it became very personal.
How long did it take you to commit?
I think I committed, I think it was I want to say right there on signing day, maybe a week or after signing day, but I took it down to the wire.
Why Michigan?
Well, other places that I would go, I would ask certain questions, and they was like, we'll figure it out, or, you know, you don't have to worry about that. And that kind of made me a little upset because I'm a little control freak. I want to know exactly what the plans are. You know, I had some issues, and hey, these are my issues. So what are we going to do? I don't want to hear we'll cross that bridge when we get there, because when we get there, it might be too late. I want a plan. I need to know what's going on. And so sitting and speaking with Moeller and speaking with Coach Herman and Coach Carr, with my primary recruiters, those three gentlemen kind of mapped it out for me. You know, and they were very truthful, very upright. They told me, hey, some of this stuff is going to be very difficult. There are going to be times we don't even want you to go back home to Inkster. And I would ask them why, and they would tell me, you know, because the transition, you need to make a transition. You need to, you know, wash your hands. And I was like, what do you mean wash your hands? Well, they're like, not wash your hands where you can't go back, but at the same time, you need to distance yourself and start the transition early. You know, you can't run back home to what's comfortable to you. You know, you got to be able to be here, your team, you know. And so there was a lot of things that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear it. And I thanked them every day for being so upfront with me about it. And it was just like I said, the things that I needed to know, they had a plan for me. You know, they just had an absolute plan. And at times, like I told you before, I was one of those guys who, I had my own mindset. I had things that I wanted to accomplish, things I wanted to do. And they were like, yes, you can and you can't do some of those things, you know. And there were some conversations. And then the great legendary Bo Schembechler, of course, can't leave him out. You know, I just stare in the back of my head because I just remember one conversation we had about, are you a track athlete or a football? I said, Coach, I'm an athlete. You know, and he wanted me to choose. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to choose. I'm an athlete. And that's who I am, and this is what you're getting. You know, and so we had our own special bond, our own special relationship, and I mean, he was incredible. I mean, it was incredible. It was like at times I would say things, you know, that I thought he would try and knock me out for, but he would laugh and he would come back and show that he had a personality, that he just wasn't this old stiff ball coach, that he was a articulate, an open-minded guy who had reason with an 18, 19, 20-year-old guy who can sit down and sometimes say, why is this goatee important to you, Tyrone? Why are you fighting to have a goatee? Because, Coach, I want it. What does this have to do with football? You know, and rules are rules, but my thing was, I'm not trying to challenge the rule, but why does this goatee matter? And he said, well, I want you to be clean shaven. I said, well, men in my family have this goatee. You know, for me, it's like a rite of passage. So what you're saying is everything in my family is wrong? And he was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the Michigan way. And I was like, Coach, that means I have to give some things up. You have to give some things up. And it was a great relationship. And I mean, I grew so much within and that's why I say my freshman year was such a great year. Such a great year.
Your situation was different though, in the fact
Yes.
It was well, it's coming a little bit.
Okay. I'm sorry about
That's
that.
all right.
No worries, I was getting a little bit at the end.
A little bit of the wireless.
Oh, okay.
No good.
Okay, good.
No worries.
Okay, all right. But your situation going into college was a little different because you had a responsibility to your family at home,
Yeah.
right? How did they feel about it?
Well, they understood, and that's what I'm saying. They understood that. They understood, the whole situation. If I needed time to go home, if my brother or my sister needed to come up, they will allow that. There would be days where I would come in and, I was ready to fight the world, and a lot of people didn't understand why. And it wasn't that he gave me a pass. It was just going back to he understood that, there are some difficulties that I'm going through, and one of the greatest things that I learned from him was just because you're going through difficulties, that doesn't mean you have the right to take it out on the world. There's a way that you handle things responsibly as a man and communicate it. And so that was one of the biggest things I learned in my freshman year, that just because my life may not be like others, there's still a way you should act. There's a way you respond, and that was huge. It was huge.
Talk about the role that Gary Moeller played in your life.
Oh, like I say, he was a great coach. When you think about the things we did as an offense and all those things, and let's put that aside, his recruitment of me was actually one of the greatest. I'll be at track meets and I'm high jumping, and Gary's putting up the high bar. Get your butt up. I'm at a basketball game. I'm playing in a basketball game, and he'll walk out and, you need to shoot free throws, But after that, it goes back to what I was saying. It was more of, I could just go in his office and sit down and not talk football, and he would listen. Now, I could be sometimes far off to the left and sometimes extremely to the right, but no matter what, he would listen to it. He would listen and sometimes try to find a voice and reason within it. And sometimes he'll tell me, just say, go back to your room and you come back tomorrow with an answer from me. You tell me what you think. And, just a great guy. Just a great guy.
And you reached out to Lloyd. He's excited. We're going to talk to him about you too. How about your relationship with Coach Carr?
Coach Carr was the stern individual. When you talk about Michigan, that is Coach Carr. Everything is done the Michigan way. Coach Carr used to coach the punt team. He used to walk around with this yardstick, and you had to be exactly. Your splits had to be exact. And I'll never forget, I was the personal protector back there, and he got on me. Wheatley, why are those guys not, their splits? Coach, that's their job. No, it's not. You're the personal protector. That's your job. You're supposed. And the thing I learned about Coach Carr was everything has to be precise. Has to be precise. Because what you can find out is the wins or losses can be saw on the film, and the wins and the losses can be just that little the minute in detail. And just always, I used to tease him because his whole thing was if you block the punt, you will get a pizza. That was you block a punt, you get a pizza. And so I always wanted to go on the other side to try and block a punt to get a pizza. And he would send the guys after me, and they would come after me, and I never got a pizza.